The next area we wanted to look at was online marketing. So from an online marketing perspective, again, we looked at 3 key areas. We looked at search visibility, we looked at social media, and we looked at brand. From a search visibility perspective, we looked at both natural and paid. From a social media engagement, we looked at the 3 key social sites, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And from a brand perspective, we looked at brand ownership, we looked at brand demand, and we looked at brand growth. Now, within the brand ownership, what we mean by that is we mean the paid search landscape and how well a retailer is owning that brand sphere. So again, there's several data points within each one of those. So what did we find? We found that 50% of retailers have declined in their rankings over the last 12 months. So year on year, 50% of the top 50 retailers have reduced their performance from a natural search perspective. Who thinks CRM is important, and who is all starting to talk and communicate about the customer being the heart of what we do and what we talk about? Well, clearly we're missing a trick. It's fundamentally important, but somebody signs up to you and says, I'm a valuable customer, please engage with me. 56% of people, the first communication we send back is a functional one, non-engaging, non-inspirational. A real missed opportunity here. We're all talking about customer first now. It's the new buzzword that everybody's talking about. It's not about keyword, it's about customer. Really big opportunity that we're missing out on. And the other one, probably the most surprising piece in the whole of the deck for me, is that supermarkets outperformed fashion retailers from a social media engagement perspective. And we'll go on to why we think that is. So, 2 key things we want to look at. First one being the decline in Google rankings. What did we find? 50% of retailers declined, but as a whole, across those 50, it was flat. So the top 50 retailers remained flat, but half of those underperformed. Electrical and home saw the highest performance improvements, and health, beauty, and fashion categories saw the biggest decline in visibility. The major things that we saw impacting performance from a natural search perspective were algorithm changes or site migrations, and actually they become really important when we look at that. So let's just take a look at somebody who has struggled through that period. If we look at Miss Selfridge, quite a big year-on-year decline when you look at that. So this is search metrics, and this is the search visibility that a site has over time. Each of these Gs is a Google release that's happened, and if we just take a closer look at that, we can see actually Miss Selfridge struggled when a link quality update was done by Google, but they actually recovered reasonably well from that over a period of time. What they didn't learn from is actually how to engage and react to some of those releases. And when the content quality update was done, they saw a big drop, and they still haven't really recovered from that over time. So what does good look like, and what should we be looking out for from a search visibility perspective? Well, sustainable and consistent performance, best practice and technical foundations, so a really strong tech at the heart of it, customer-focused content strategy, and this, I think, is probably one of the key areas where fashion actually fell down versus the grocers. Grocers have developed very rich content around recipes and around content that's not product-focused, whereas what you find is actually from a fashion perspective, the majority of their content is absolutely focused on the product, the offer, and the promotion. And they've become quite product focused as opposed to inspirational focused. Navigating and learning from previous updates, so actually how do you learn from past challenges that you've had, and how do you manage successful site migrations? So somebody who's done well in that area, actually, if you look at this, a steady growth, perhaps struggled a little bit after a Google release here, but actually they really learned from it, and look at the benefit they got from the next content release that happened. And actually, since then, they've seen really consistent growth over time. So that's the sort of shape you should be looking at when you're looking at your metrics. So who won and who didn't do so well? And the last area that I wanted to look at from a digital marketing perspective was the social media engagement. And we've just talked about content being really important from a site perspective, from a natural search perspective. But actually, this is the amplification of that content. So people typically who are doing well from a natural search perspective and a content perspective have the ability to then amplify that across their social sites. So what did we find? 27% of brands performed higher than the social engagement scorecard. Electrical and grocers performed. I appear to be missing a few bullet points on the slides, but electrical and grocery performed really well, and fashion performed less well here. So what does good look like? I think a clear understanding of what your audience is wanting and how you should engage with them. Educational and inspirational content, so not just about product to offer. A mix of incentives or offers that can actually engage the customer. Actively responding to feedback in a conversational tone, and use of video really drives high engagement. So what does a couple of really good and nice examples look like from a social perspective? Co-op did a lovely piece, which was a live piece for Valentine's Day, where they looked at what wines will be good to put you in the romantic mood. But actually, 187 comments, 77 shares, 376 likes, really engaging. Wilco's did an offer, 863 likes, 817 comments. If you have a look at Sainsbury's, when they're looking at recipes, again, 606 shares, 980 likes, really, truly engaging content. When you compare that to Burton's, who are typically sending out a new message on a daily basis at 8 o'clock in the morning every day, and it's about offers and it's about product. It's very offer and product focused. And we've got 3 shares and 10 likes. It's all a bit depressing, isn't it? We've got 16 likes, 1 comment, 9 likes, 1 comment. So not inspiration, not engaging. It's not creating the engagement that you're wanting to have and the relationship you want to have with your customer. So who were the winners and who scored well and who could have done better in this area?